Now we will do some application or word problems that involve fractions. Carol had a half-pound bag of sugar. If she used 3/16 pounds of sugar to make a cake, how much sugar did she have left? To understand what operation we need to do in order to solve this problem, sometimes it's easier to read the problem replacing the fractions with whole numbers so we see clearly what operation we need to do. Let's say that Carol had a 2-pound bag of sugar and she used 1 pound of sugar to make a cake. It's a pretty sugary cake, but anyway, we would know exactly what to do. We would subtract. So that's what we will do with these fractions. We will subtract 1 pound minus the amount of sugar she used to make the cake, which is 3/16 of a pound. So we write our problem 1/2 minus 3/16. When we subtract fractions, we need to remember we need to have a common denominator. The least common multiple of 2 and 16 is 16. So we write 16s in the denominators of both. What do we multiply 2 by to get 16? We multiplied by 8. So we need to multiply the numerator by 8. 1 times 8 is 8. This denominator we did not change, so we do not need to change the numerator. Now we have a common denominator, so we will subtract the numerators and keep the denominator. 8 minus 3 is 5. And we keep the denominator 16. So our answer to our question is 5/16 of a pound of sugar left. So after Carol baked her cake, she had 5/16 of a pound of sugar left. A 16 1/2 pound wedge of Swiss cheese is cut into 4 equal parts. How big is each equal part? This is a division problem. We will take our big wedge of Swiss cheese and cut it into 4 equal parts. So our 16 1/2 pound wedge is going to be divided into 4 equal parts. So now we will follow our rules for division and fractions. We first need to change to improper fractions. 16 times 2 is 32, plus 1 is 33, and keep the denominator. Divided by, change the 4 to an improper fraction, and remember we write any integer as a fraction over 1. Now we will change division to multiplication by keeping the first fraction, changing the operation, and flipping the second fraction. Notice we don't divide out until we get to the multiplication step. There is nothing to divide out. There are no common factors in the numerator and denominator. So we will multiply our numerators together and get 33, and our denominators together and get 8. This is our answer as a improper fraction. It would be 33/8 of a pound for each of the equal parts. But we can also write this as a mixed number by putting the 33 inside the division sign, dividing by 8. 8 divides 33 4 times, with 1 left over. The 1 is our numerator, and what we divided by is our denominator. So as a mixed number, we get 4 1/8. So answer our question, how big is each equal part? 4 1/8 pound. A vet uses 2/3 of the contents of a 6-ounce bottle of medicine. How many ounces did he use? 2/3 of the contents of 6 ounces is what we need to calculate. Recall from our translation sections that the word of usually means to multiply. I want to know what 2/3 of 6 is. This is a multiplication problem. 2/3 of 6 means 2/3 times 6. We will follow our rules for multiplication of fractions. We will need to change the 6 to an improper fraction by putting it over 1. Now we can divide out common factors in the numerators and denominators. We have a common factor of 3 in the denominator and numerator, so we can divide out a 3 and get 1, divide 6 by 3 and get 2. Now we will multiply the numerators together. 2 times 2 is 4. And our denominators 1 times 1 is 1. 4 divided by 1, or 4 over 1, is equal to 4. So how many ounces did he use? He used 4 ounces. Let's look at the different parts of a circle. The center is the center of the circle, is this dot right here, which isn't really part of the circle, it's just a location within the circle. The diameter is the distance from one side of the circle to the other, going through the center of the circle. The radius is the distance from the circle to the center. I want you to notice the relationship to the diameter and the radius. The diameter, which is this distance here, is equal to 2 of this distance, which is the radius. So the diameter equals 2 times the radius. Determine the circumference of a circle with radius 4 inches. The circumference of a circle is the distance around the circle. To calculate the circumference of a circle, we use this formula 2 pi r, where r is the radius. Sometimes we will use an approximation for pi, but in this problem we will write our answer in terms of pi. Circumference is equal to 2 times pi times r, which is 4. We will multiply 2 times 4 and get 8, and leave our answer in terms of pi. Our units are inches, so the circumference is 8 pi inches. Determine the circumference of the given circle. We are given the diameter of this circle to be 9 meters. An alternative form for the circumference of a circle is the circumference equals pi times d, where d is the diameter. In this problem, it would be easier for us to use the alternative formula for the circumference, where we use the diameter, because we're given the diameter. In this problem, we also will not approximate pi, so our answer will be left in terms of pi. Circumference is equal to pi times d, which is the diameter. In this problem, our diameter is equal to 9 meters. So we multiply pi times 9. When we leave our answers in terms of pi, we usually write the number first and the symbol for pi second. So our answer is 9 pi, and our units are meters. 9 pi meters. Determine the circumference of the given circle. Use the following approximation for pi. Pi approximately equals 22 over 7. This symbol means approximate. This does not equal pi, but it is a very close approximation to pi. We will use the formula that involves radius, because in this problem we are given the radius. The radius is equal to 12 millimeters. The circumference equals 2 times pi times r. We will replace pi with the approximation 22 over 7, and we will replace r with the radius. When we replace pi with 22 over 7, we will use the approximation symbol, because now we are approximating the circumference using an approximation for pi. So we replace pi with 22 over 7 and r with 12. We have fractions that we're multiplying, so we will write our whole numbers as fractions by putting them over 1. There aren't any factors in the numerator and denominator that we can divide out. We have a 7 in the denominator, and there aren't any 7s in the numerator as factors. So we will multiply the numerators together, and we will multiply the denominators together. 2 times 22 is 44, and 44 times 12 is 528. You may need to use a calculator or scratch paper in order to calculate that. Our denominator is 1 times 7 times 1, which is 7, and our units are millimeters. So 528 sevenths millimeters is our answer as an improper fraction. But we can change this to a mixed number by putting the numerator inside the division symbol, and we will divide by 7, which is the denominator. 7 divides 52 7 times. 7 times 7 is 49. When we subtract, we get 3. We'll bring down the 8. 7 divides 38 5 times. 7 times 5 is equal to 35. And when we subtract, we get 3. So 3 is our numerator, and 7 is our denominator. So this answer as a mixed number is 75 3/7 millimeters. This is the distance around the circle. Determine the area of a circle whose radius is 14 centimeters. Use the following approximation for pi. Pi approximately equals 22 over 7. The area of a circle is equal to pi times r squared. The area of a geometric shape is the amount of surface inside the shape, so we are calculating the amount of surface inside of the circle. So area equals pi times r squared. We are going to use an approximation for pi, so we'll use our approximation symbols. 22 over 7. And our radius is equal to 14. And we will square that. So what does squaring something means? It means we're going to multiply 14 times itself. So 22 over 7 times 14 times 14. We have multiplication, so we'll write our whole numbers as fractions by putting them over 1. We see that we have something that we can divide out. This 14 and 7 both have a 7 that can divide out. So 7 divided by 7 is 1, and 14 divided by 7 is 2. We don't have any more factors in the numerator and denominator to divide out, so we will multiply across. 22 times 2 is equal to 44, and 44 times 14 is equal to 616 over 1, which is 616. Our units are centimeters, so for area we have centimeters squared. Our units for area are squared units. So the area of this circle is 616 centimeters squared. Determine the area of a circle whose radius is 4 2/3 feet. Use the following approximation for pi. pi approximately equals 22 over 7. The area of a circle can be calculated as pi times r squared, where r is the radius, and in this problem we will use the approximation for pi as 22 over 7. So the area for this circle is equal to pi times r squared. So we're using an approximation for pi, so we'll use our approximation symbol, replacing pi with 22 over 7, and the radius is 4 2/3, and we will square that. So we have 22 over 7, and we're going to square 4 2/3. Let's change 4 2/3 from a mixed number to an improper fraction. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 is 14 over 3. Now we will square this fraction by multiplying it twice. So we have 22 over 7 for our approximation of pi, and then our radius squared would be 14 thirds times 14 thirds. Okay, so now we're multiplying. We can divide out common factors in the numerator and denominator. I have a 14 in the numerator here and a 7 in the denominator, so I will divide out a 7 and get 1, divide 14 by 7 and get 2. There aren't any other factors in the numerator and denominator that we can divide out, so we will multiply the numerators together and the denominators together. 22 times 2 is equal to 44, and 44 times 14 is equal to 616. Our denominator will multiply those together. 1 times 3 is 3, times 3 is 9. Our units are feet, so for area we get feet squared. So this is our answer as an improper fraction. We can write this as a mixed number by putting the numerator inside the division symbol and the 9 outside. We will look at 9 dividing 61 first. 9 divides 61 6 times. 6 times 9 is 54. When we subtract, we get 7. We'll bring down the 6. 9 divides 76 8 times. 8 times 9 is 72. We will subtract and get 4. 4 is our numerator, and 9 is our denominator. So this answer as a mixed number is 68 4/9 feet squared. Determine the volume of the given cylinder. Use the following approximation for pi. Pi approximately equals 22 over 7. The formula for a cylinder's volume is pi r squared times h, where r is the radius of the circle which makes up the surface of the top and bottom of the cylinder, and h is the height of the cylinder. So V is equal to, or volume is equal to pi r squared times h, or the height. We are going to use an approximation for pi, so we'll use our approximation symbols. Pi is approximately equal to 22 over 7. Our radius of our top of our cylinder is equal to 7, and our height is 12 meters. So we replace r with 7. So we'll square the 7 and then multiply times 12, which is our height. So 7 times 7 is equal to 49. We will write our whole numbers as fractions by putting them over 1, And now we will multiply. We see that we can divide out a 7 in this number 49 and the denominator 7. So let's divide them by 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1, and 49 divided by 7 is 7. Then we will multiply our numerators together. 22 times 7 times 12 is 1,848. And you would use a calculator or some scratch paper to do that. And our denominator is 1. Our approximation for the volume is 1,848. Our units for volume, they're going to be cubed units. So we will use meters cubed. So our answer for volume of this cylinder is 1,848 meters cubed. Determine the volume of a sphere with radius 6 centimeters. A sphere is a ball, and this sphere has a radius of 6 centimeters. We will use the following approximation for pi. Pi approximately equals 22/7. Here is the formula for the volume of a sphere. The volume of a sphere equals 4/3 times pi times r cubed, where r is the distance from the inside center of the sphere to the outside of the sphere, the surface of the sphere. So the volume of a sphere is equal to 4/3 times pi r cubed. Because we're using an approximation for pi, we will use our approximation symbol. 4/3. We will replace pi with 22/7. And r is 6, so 6 cubed. So we'll do our order of operations first. We'll find out what 6 cubed is equal to. 6 cubed is equal to 216. And we will write that over 1 because we're multiplying fractions. We can divide out a 3 in this numerator and a 3 in this denominator. So let's do that. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 216 divided by 3 is equal to 72. Then we will multiply our numerators together and our denominators together. 4 times 22 times 72 is equal to 6,336. We got a palindrome. Forwards and backwards, that number is the same thing. 1 times 7 times 1 is 7. So our approximate volume is 6,336/7, and our units are centimeters. So we have a volume with cubed centimeters, or centimeters cubed. This is the approximation as an improper fraction, but we can change this to a mixed number by putting the top number inside the division symbol and the denominator outside. We will look at 7 dividing 63. 7 divides 63 9 times. We subtract and get 0. We'll bring down the 3. 7 divides 3 0 times. 0 times 7 is 0. Subtract and get 3. Then we'll bring down the 6. 7 divides 36 5 times. 7 times 5 is 35. And we subtract and get 1 left over. So our numerator is 1 and our denominator is 7. So this answer as a mixed number is 905 1/7 centimeters cubed.